This ABC15 Flash Briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.
Hello, I'm Faye Fredericks with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. Many abortion providers resuming services in the state today. This comes just days after a court ruling pausing enforcement of a territorial-era law making almost all abortions illegal. Some providers that previously discontinued abortion services say they plan to open back up this week. Others, like Camelback Family Planning, have stayed open and are quickly adjusting to this legal limbo as the legal process continues to move through the Arizona Court of Appeals. Employees there tell us staff went from taking calls from stressed out patients to learning they would be able to resume services just hours later.
Obviously, we were thrilled. I mean, it's just such a relief for the patients. I mean, all morning, this morning, we've heard all the stories of the plans that people have made to leave the state. People were, stressed.
You can find our complete coverage on the abortion battle in Arizona online anytime at ABC15.com. Week 2 is underway in the Canal Killer trial. In court, attorneys for both sides questioning the doctor who performed the autopsy on one of the women Brian Patrick Miller is accused of killing. Her body was found floating in a canal in Sunny Slope in the 90s. Cold case detectives also testified that trial could last until December. This Wednesday, the Arizona Supreme Court will consider the Attorney General's motion for their next execution. If granted, Murray Hooper would be the third person executed in Arizona this year. Hooper was sentenced to death in 1983 after he and 2 others murdered 2 people and severely injured a third at a Phoenix home. Tomorrow is Arizona's voter registration deadline. You have until midnight tomorrow to make sure you're registered. Mail-in ballots will be sent out Wednesday, and some early voting locations will open up as well. Make sure you're registered on my.arizona.vote. It's World Mental Health Day. The goal every year to raise awareness. That means sharing what it is and the need to be mindful. A recent survey shows just a third of adults are confident they could spot warning signs of mental distress.
Warning signs tend to fall into 3 categories: talk, behavior, and mood. And what we're really looking for is changes in someone.
Our Kaylee O'Kelly talking with Dr. Doreen Marshall from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Their biggest message: don't be afraid to have these conversations.
I think it's important before you're in a crisis situation to normalize conversations around mental health and to not be afraid to ask your child directly, you seem overwhelmed. Sometimes people have thoughts of suicide when they feel that way. Have you had those kind of thoughts? I think opening that dialogue, making it okay for them to come to you with those thoughts and really listening when they do. I don't think it's ever too early to help kids understand that they have mental health just like they have physical health.
Something as simple as hope can help.
I think for someone who's struggling, it can be really difficult to access hope. And those of us that are outside of that person, this is the reason we encourage people to be proactive and to lean in, because we can often see things outside of that person. We can often see more hope than the person who's in the midst of their struggle. So, this is why we really want to encourage people in the public to learn more, to get involved, and to not wait if you suspect someone is struggling. Because they need us to reassure them that help is out there and that hope is out there.
We've posted more about the warning signs and resources available on ABC15.com. Medicare is considering expanding dental benefits. Program doesn't cover most dental care. Under current law, Medicare will pay only for dental services that are medically necessary to treat another covered medical condition. Officials recently proposed expanding benefits for certain conditions. Any changes could take effect as soon as January.
Hey there, everyone. Tracking your most accurate forecast. I'm meteorologist Jorge Torres. Your forecast for Tuesday showing temperatures starting off in the lower 70s in the morning, climbing to 87 at midday and reaching a high of 93 degrees. And sunset time tomorrow will be at 5:59 p.m. The first sunset before 6 o'clock since early February. meaning, of course, winter is coming. Elsewhere across Arizona tomorrow, highs remaining in the 60s in Flagstaff, Heber, and Show, 70s in Payson and Prescott, and throughout the lower deserts, highs generally in the low to mid 90s. The pollen count, though, will be in the moderate category for several days, with ragweed, quinopods, and sagebrush showing up under the microscope. Your 7-day showing those temperatures actually heating up, feeling a little more like summer by Thursday and Friday, with highs in the mid to upper 90s, but the chance of rain picking up by the weekend, with the best shot on Sunday now at 30% in the valley, with highs dropping into the 80s, and cooler in the high country with highs only in the upper 50s beginning early next week.
This ABC 15 flash briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.